Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape, every one of us. I was kinda late, cause I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus on what's great. Ladies and gentlemen, Steph Hardy is on the air. Had to drop a couple bars just to make you all aware. So, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. You know I go by Joe or the rest of the flow, yeah.
That's the second time I've done it. Hey, y'all. Welcome to a new episode of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast with your girl, Stephanie Hardy. Of course, if this isn't your first time listening, thank you for continuing to join me on the Wrestle Vibes. And of course, if this is your first time listening or watching live on any one of my platforms, thank you so very much for joining me on this journey as we talk about all the goings on of professional wrestling. There is so much happening, and I'm so happy to be your safe space and your guide through all of the things that are happening in professional wrestling and in this quirky world that we love. We are winding down on this year. It is almost Christmas. Literally next week it is Christmas. So with all of that being said, that doesn't mean that wrestling isn't still trying to keep our attention and make us ready for what's in store for the next year. So yeah, it is really cool stuff. So thank you guys so much for joining me. And I just cannot wait to get into all the things. So last night was a really big night in terms of WWE content because they did have their first Saturday night's main event for the first time in a couple of years. And it was really great. They were advertising it, of course, at the Nassau Coliseum in New York and Long Island. And it was their first time having it, but they weren't trying to turn it into like this new show type of thing. They were trying to pay tribute to the past and give us more of what's going on into the future while also paying tribute to where it once was. And for it to be a retro show with the newer stars and everything, it still felt really current and I really liked it. So of course this aired yesterday on NBC and streamed on Peacock. And of course, if you were looking for that TV feeling, you could definitely watch it on NBC. But I just chose to stream it on Peacock because I'm just, you know, old habits die hard. But of course, as the show goes on, I'm going to talk about, what happened on the show and recap it a bit. And then if you're watching live, you can just tell me all of what you felt about the show, how you felt about the bookings of things, how you felt about the matches, and then you might wind up on the screen. So let's get into Saturday night's main event, which took place last night. Um, Freaking Io Sky versus Liv Morgan turned out to be a banger of a match. Because y'all know I got to talk about my women first, because ladies first. Io Sky and Liv Morgan both surprised me at the very beginning of this match because these are two women who normally come out with their stable in terms of the Judgment Day and also in terms of Damage Control. But this time they decided to tell their prospective people to back off and just let us do this on our own. And they were like, okay, fine. You sure? Let's go. And Io wound up, fighting out there without Damage Control, and Liv defended her title without Raquel and without Dirty Dom. And this was very refreshing for a change because Lord knows we've been so used and conditioned to seeing Liv come out with her insurance policy. And this definitely helped the match, and it helped both of these women stand on their own. These women put on a banger of a match. Io Sky really gave the very best that she could to Liv Morgan with her double knees, as you can see in the picture over there, and also with a lot of her aerial move set. But there was a point where Liv actually targeted her leg a bit and tried to wear her down. And then there was this really, really rough spot where Io actually gave a knee strike to Liv in the face, almost to the point to where a lot of viewers were almost scared that Liv's nose was broken, but they reported that it isn't broken and that she's fine. It was just a really hard hit, and yet her nose was bleeding. But she fought through all of that in order to retain, hit the oblivion and retain her women's world championship. And as someone who has been a huge I've been very critical of Liv always using Dirty Dom in order to as a distraction to sort of win her matches. I was really happy to see that she decided to show up for someone like Io Sky, who is an icon in Japanese women's wrestling, and fight her on her own merit and defend her title on her own merit. Because it just seemed like for every person she has fought for that title, she has always just she has always cheated in order to win. But this time she didn't. And it was really refreshing to see that. Vaughn in the chat watching on Facebook, thank you for watching, saying Saturday night's main event was great. And Liv Morgan critic. Yeah, I was a Liv Morgan critic, especially with the choices that she made this year. Even though it helped her get to the top, it's just the principle of the fact that, you went through all this, stole, you know, Rhea Ripley's boyfriend and her group and all of that just so you can, call yourself the greatest women's world champion, even though there's only been 3. But whatever. Either way, Liv Morgan retained her title in a very cool fashion. I love the fact that she did it all by herself. So as she was celebrating, and made her entrance back up the ramp, we hear, "This is my brutality." And out comes Rhea Ripley staring her down. And usually this would be where Dominic or where maybe a Raquel would get in her face and tell Rhea to back off, or maybe Liv would just run away from her or whatever. But this time they just both stared at each other, just stared each other down as if to say, "I see you, I've got next," because of course Rhea did pin Liv at Survivor Series War Games after crashing her through the table. So definitely Rhea Ripley has next, and now we can do this without all the distractions, because I've beat up on Dominic at Bad Blood like a piñata. I destroyed Raquel this past week on Raw, which we will get into later on the show. So now there is no more glass ceiling. There are no more people for me to go through. It's time for me to fight you for the title that I want. And she stated in an interview with Jackie Redmond and with Peter Rosenberg after the show that she is ready, to get her title back, and that she can't change what happened in the past at SummerSlam, and she can't change what happened with Judgment Day, but she can change the fact that she isn't the women's world champion. And I'm definitely here for it, because their feud is a lot more heated and a lot more bloodthirsty and a lot more angry than, "Oh, you took my boyfriend." Like, there's more to it than that. And I'm really glad that they are possibly about to explore more of this without the distractions of the whole boyfriend thing. So I'm really pumped about where this is going to go. I'm ready for Rhea to get back her things. And I'm just ready to sort of see this version of the Judgment Day sort of just crackle up. But we'll get more into that later too. So yeah, that was awesome. Also, in terms of the women, you had Michin Mia Yim going up against Chelsea Green to become the inaugural Women's United States champion. And if it's one thing I did share a lot of on social media yesterday, is the fact that I love both of these women so much and appreciate them and everything that they've given in their careers for women's wrestling. I saw the first time I saw Mia Yim was at the Mae Young Classic, and her story just really resonated with me me. And I just love the idea, of course, that she is a Black woman standing in her truth and being really strong and beautiful the way that she is. And also being an Asian woman in that way as well. So just seeing her representing who she is in this type of match while also representing what HBCU she attended, because the Letterman jacket that she had on represented Virginia Union University, which is an HBCU I had never heard of up until this point. And that's no shade, because of course there are so many HBCUs, especially even here in the state of Alabama, but I had just never heard of Virginia Union. And the fact that she was out here representing them is just really amazing. I feel like HBCUs have had a stellar year when it comes to wrestling, over the past couple of years, even with Bianca Belair and with Cody Rhodes, at with the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. And even now with this form of representation from Mia, it was just really, really cool to see her represent them in that way. And it just goes to show you, HBCUs creates greatness. They create all forms of greatness, even in the world of professional wrestling. So I'm really happy for Mia and what she represented here. And she also shared a picture of herself, on the volleyball team at Virginia Union. So this was really beautiful. But as the match proceeded to go on, as both women fought tooth and nail, and even as Piper Niven tried to, interfere with the match and everything, Chelsea Green was able to come out on top on her own as the victor and become the first ever women's United States champion after hitting Mia Yim with an unprettier from the top rope. Like, if you were to go back and watch Saturday night's main event and see the way that she executed that unprettier from the top rope, it was really smooth and sick, because it looked like Mia had her, dead to rights on the top rope, but then Chelsea reversed it, hit that unprettier, got the 1, 2, 3, and won. This made me so happy, because if you've been watching wrestling over the past 10 years, you've seen Chelsea Green off and on in so many different iterations of her character, of other characters, and all of the above. Like I said on social media, the first time I ever saw her was when she played the nurse who was supposedly in an affair with Bryan Danielson when he was in WWE, not knowing that she was even a wrestler. And then, of course, she came through Tough Enough and wound up, getting eliminated in the more recent season. And then she wound up fighting her way to NXT, being a part of the Robert Stone brand, and then getting called up and then getting released, and then making the best of the situation by going back to TNA and doing lots of other indie wrestling things, and then coming back to wrestling in WWE. So, in this entire year, I would also say she's been an MVP, because her entire personality and all of her kookiness and craziness and sense of humor stuff has definitely given us some really memorable moments. I will never forget being at Money in the Bank, and not only getting to ask her a question in the presser, well, not in the presser, but in the media day when we got to interview some of the wrestlers, and just seeing her sort of just soak up getting all of that attention from so many different media people asking her question after question, like she was just the star. It was just really funny. Then to seeing her getting smashed through a table um by Tiffany Stratton in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Like, a lot of us have been rooting for her to get an opportunity like this for such a long time. So the idea that she actually has it now and she's the first women's United States champion is just really hilarious. And then you had Nick Aldis put the title on her and everything, and he congratulated her on social media only to say, "God help us all." Because she's about to be super duper extra. And the extra didn't even stop there, because the gear that she wrestled in last night were all pictures of herself, from the hat all the way down to her half pants, half shorts. So Chelsea Green was the right choice. Actually, there would not have been a wrong choice if Mia had won it. But either way, Chelsea Miss Ma'am definitely deserved it after everything she's gone through. This is her first singles title in WWE, and I'm just so happy to see her get her things. So congratulations to Chelsea Green. You've made women's wrestling history, and you are now the first ever women's United States champion. And of course, she has a t-shirt that actually has her, an image of her as the Statue of Liberty with the with the word Chelsea all down behind her Statue of Liberty, and it's just really cute. So big ups to her for that. I am so happy for her, and I can't wait to see more of what Mia Yim has to offer. Because even though she might not be the first, she could be the second, or she could be the third. You never know. I did not mean for those balloons to happen, but either way, she could be the third. You just never know. But I'm really happy for Chelsea. Now, if we go to the men, I was very surprised that Drew McIntyre was able to catch Sami Zayn slipping with the Claymore kick and actually having him win the match. This was how Saturday night's main event started. This match was pretty good and very hard hitting because you know Sami is going to give his all. But I was just really, really surprised that Drew won. But then again, how could you not be surprised? Because he definitely has an axe to grind since the last time we saw him in a WWE ring competing was at Hell in a Cell and against CM Punk at Bad Blood. So he really is focused on trying to get revenge on those who cost him, you know, his opportunities at the title. Even though it's not CM Punk this time, he's targeting the bloodline because he also targeted Jey Uso as well. So it's just really interesting to see another level of a spiteful Drew McIntyre. I was it was interesting. Then they also gave an interesting stat that Sami Zayn has never won a match against Drew McIntyre. So now he's 0-2 against Drew. And that was just really interesting to know. But oof. Yeah, Drew is back and he's ready to wreak havoc on all of our faves again. And yeah, I just don't know. Then we had the triple threat match for the World Heavyweight title involving Gunther, Finn Balor, and Damian Priest. I'm not going to lie, a part of me really wanted Damian Priest to win this title back because he's Damian. But Gunther basically has like a stranglehold on the title, especially now since he's been dealing with an attack of confidence. Like he's just having a huge crisis of confidence right now. And he's just trying to prove that he really is the guy that he has been for the past few years. And the fact that, you know, he was able to come out on top and retain his title was really cool. So I was like, okay, Gunther, you're still the champion. I wasn't too mad at that because he's just a big bad, like at this point. Like, um, even though a lot of people feel that he's not the big bad that he used to be when he was Walter in the UK scene, to me, I feel like they've been building him up to be this big bad, you know, ever since he won the IC title and held on to it for, you know, over 600 days. And then now he's the world heavyweight champion, and it seems that nobody can really beat him. But then you also have Finn thrown in the mix, and he could have just so easily cheated with the Judgment Day as well, but he didn't do that either. And he wanted to try and do it on his own. So I do wonder how that conversation is going to go on Monday when, you know, because he was the one who was trying to tell Liv that they need to follow his advice, you know, so he can, you know, so they can be successful. But Liv wound up winning and retaining her title, whereas he couldn't get the job done. So I don't know, but either way, this match was pretty good too. I enjoyed it. And Gunther's still the champion, so I'm not too mad at that. And then, of course, when it comes to the nostalgia of Saturday night's main event, I have to give props to Jesse the Body Ventura. Even though I wasn't around during, you know, his first go round as a broadcaster and as a wrestler because I wasn't born yet, I do respect the fact that he was out here doing the things last night and bringing the nostalgia vibes. His voice is still very much intact to a degree. And I loved hearing him right next to Joe Tessitore. And the show started with Joe Tessitore's voiceover, and his voice fit perfectly for the retro style of Saturday night's main event. Joe is very current, but he sounds very professional in the way that a Gorilla Monsoon would sound, or the way that Jesse sounded back in the day, or the way that Bobby Heenan sounded back in the day. So his voice definitely fit the vibes of the show. And the fact that Jesse came out here with a snakeskin coat along with all of these boas was just really funny for me. So big ups to these guys, and also big ups to Joe Tessitore for having on that red bow to pay tribute to Mean Gene, because Mean Gene was one of my favorites growing up when he was on WWE Confidential, and I just grew to respect him the more I watched older stuff with my dad. And I know that if Mean Gene were here, he would have been there with bells on. So it was just, really nice to see him pay tribute to him. And then, of course, you had the other wrestling stars of the past that were there, like Coco Beware, Greg the Hammer Valentine, and so many others. It was and Jimmy Hart. That was really cool too. So I love it. Katarina, hey, thank you for watching. Saying, as a photographer and a broadcaster, I love the aesthetic of it all. Kept it in the essence of the original. They really did. And then I love that they had the barricades out, but they weren't like the regular barricades that they have out for every show. They had like the barred barricades, and that was really cool too. And then I love that they had the security out there to protect the superstars, because y'all know us fans can get real ratchet. We can get real ratchet and jump on people, and be all hyperactive or whatever. So, protect the superstars. But I love the nostalgia feel. And then, of course, with the intro, they had it come on with an old school television, and the old school theme song that they had called Obsession. You're my obsession. So that was cool too. So I liked it. It was really amazing. I love the nostalgia of it all. So yeah. Katarina saying, I wanted the ratchet. No, you can't have the ratchet. We can't have the ratchet all the time. Okay. We can't. We have to protect the superstars. We have to protect them. And so, yeah, as Jesse the Body Ventura made more of his presence felt, he was a special guest commentator alongside Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. And I was happy to see Pat McAfee back, because every time I watch ESPN College Game Day and watch him be all crazy and stuff on there, I just be like, man, I want him back on wrestling. And he came back for one night. And of course, college football isn't over just yet. So, in the midst of all of this, I was really happy to have him back. And then to have him and Michael Cole sit next to Jesse the Body Ventura, who gave, such personality during his time as, a commentator. It was just a great mashup of the past and the present, and I just really appreciated it. Then what was so funny was Jesse was being so much of a heel commentator. Like, I almost wish that he was sitting next to Corey Graves instead, because Corey Graves is, whether people like it or not, he tends to fall more so on the heel side more than any other side. So if it would have been entertaining if Michael Cole was right there in between Corey and Jesse, but it was okay. I guess they just brought Pat McAfee in because he's Pat. And I don't hate that at all. And Jesse was just out there giving all the heel vibes, talking about how he was on Kevin Owens' side, and all of the above. So that was hilarious. So this was cool. And then we have the main event involving KO and Cody Rhodes. And Cody made me happy on one end, but then disappointed me on the other, because he came back. He made his entrance with the Winged Eagle title. And I love championship belts, as you can see back there. I love championship titles. So the fact that on this vintage show, on this throwback show, they actually had him wearing the Winged Eagle, I was very excited about that. I was really crunk about that. I was like, oh snap, he's out there with the thing. And then it was amazing how how the referee Charles Robinson lifted it up. And it was also amazing to see him be a part of that, because he's been a referee for WWE for so long. So the idea that this is now in the present, he's able to lift up that title for these future stars, was amazing too. So I was really excited about that part. But Cody disappointed me a little bit with the way that he retained his championship. Of course, Kevin Owens was out here acting all kinds of buck in this match. I will definitely say that. And he was acting so buck that he brought in a steel chair to try to pull the trigger on Cody the way that he didn't at Bash in Berlin. But Cody, as a babyface, you could have pushed the chair out of the way and just hit the crossroads regular on the mat and laid him out 1, 2, 3. But he didn't do that. He used the steel chair and hit the crossroads onto Kevin Owens and then won the match. In the midst of all the shenanigans with the referees and everything, that was crazy too. But Cody literally took an evil route in order to retain his title. I don't know if it was because he was just angry with Kevin or he just felt like that was the only way he could have took him out. But that really surprised me. Because when it happened, I was like, wait, hold on. Hold on, Cody. Hold on. You're my baby face and I love you right now. But sweetie, no. No, why are we doing this? It was really interesting. And I'm wondering if they're going to bring it up later on this week. But that disappointed me. I was just like, my babyface hero, what's going on? Why are we having an identity crisis? What's going on? Why are we using chairs when you could have got the job done the other way? I don't know. But this did make me sad. It was crazy. And then on top of that, it got even crazier after the cameras went off, because as Cody was celebrating and as he was about to get on the microphone and talk to the people like he tends to do, Kevin Owens hit Cody with an illegal move. He hit him with the pile driver. He hit him with this pile driver and knocked him out, landed on his booty, which is what you're not supposed to do, and then stepped all over him when he was on the stretcher and took the Winged Eagle belt away from him. And in the midst of all of this, Kevin also got to fighting with Triple H, the CCO. He got to fighting with Triple H and got into a shoving match with him. This all happened off camera, but of course, I'm sure you've seen it online by now. But oh my God, this version of Kevin Owens is really just taking people out. He done took out Randy. Now he's taking out Cody. And now he's carrying around the title now. And it is just a mess. It is a mess. He is angry. He is surly. He is spiteful. This version of Kevin has really lost it. And you hate to see it. But this is what I guess he feels he's been pushed to. So, I don't know. But either way, Saturday night's main event was fantastic. I enjoyed it. And of course, next time they're having it, they will be having it in Texas. And I think they're having it in January, later on in January, before the Royal Rumble. So it's going to be really cool. I enjoy it. So yeah, it's going to be cool. But before we finish the Saturday night's main event talk, there is something interesting that happened this week that I have to talk about. So if you've been listening to me talk wrestling on this show for the past almost 5 years, you know that something that I love more than anything in this world is wrestling in my hometown of Birmingham, Alabama. I have been pushing and actively manifesting for a PLE, a WWE PLE, to take place in Birmingham, because another anniversary has passed when it comes to the last PLE that we had here in Birmingham, which was Armageddon 2000. It's been 24 years since Armageddon 2000. To this day, that is the only PLE that has taken place in Birmingham, Alabama. Since then, we've only gotten Raws, SmackDowns, mostly SmackDowns, a couple of Raws thrown in there, and some house shows. And I really feel that with all the growth that Birmingham has had over the past 10 years, and even now, I feel like we are worthy to have a PLE. Not necessarily a big four PLE, because those are sort of reserved for larger cities, but a PLE nonetheless. And so I tweeted that I pretend that I'm okay, but deep down inside, I want to stop counting down the years since there has been a WWE PLE in the city of Birmingham. And I tweeted, let's bring Saturday night's main event to Birmingham with a picture of the skyline and all of the above. And the Birmingham City Council, who I didn't even know had a Twitter, I did not know the Birmingham City Council had a Twitter. They responded because I tagged the City of Birmingham government's Twitter page in it. And they said, same Stephanie, same at WWE. When I saw this at work, when I tell y'all I was gagged, I was like, hold on. So you mean to tell me the Birmingham City Council has a Twitter, and not only do they have a Twitter, they responded to me talking about a pay-per-view in Birmingham? What? This gagged me. And then on top of that, not only did I tag WWE and the city of Birmingham, I also tagged The Rock. And the reason why I did that is because The Rock is not only on the board of directors for WWE now, along with TKO, he also is the co-owner of our football team, the UFL champions, the Birmingham Stallions. So in the midst of that, economically, it could make sense for us to have a PLE. And if we don't have one, we could have a Saturday night's main event. We could have an NXT event. Either way, give Birmingham something. And this was an amazing advancement in this. Considering this happened on a Friday, I hope that maybe somewhere down the road, once the holidays are over, I don't know how this can be pursued. I don't know what I need to do at this point, but I just know that this was an amazing advancement. You know, the idea that the city council of Birmingham responded to it. Like, excuse me, I've been tweeting about a Birmingham PLE for years. I've been doing this for years. This is the very first time the city council of Birmingham has responded to it. And I'm so happy about that. So we'll see what happens within the next year. But this was amazing. And I am still pushing and manifesting for a PLE to take place here. Because I just feel like us as a city, you know, we have our ups and downs, but we deserve nice things. We absolutely deserve nice things. And that's a nice thing that we deserve. And hopefully we'll get it. Hopefully we will get it within the next few years. So I just had to share that little tidbit. Let's push for a Saturday night's main event in Birmingham. Please, 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 WWE, please. So yeah. So that's the end of my Saturday night's main event talk. And now we're going to move into what I liked in wrestling this week. So now I know a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about right now took place before Saturday night's main event. So I'm just going to put that little disclaimer out there. But I just have to discuss and do like a recap of what I liked. So I was very surprised on Monday Night Raw to see Liv fighting Dakota Kai, because of course Dakota Kai is moving forward in the tournament for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So to see her having a match against Liv Morgan like this was really interesting, but it wasn't too far off the beaten path logically, because of course Dakota is attached to Io and Liv had to fight Io Saturday. So it wasn't too much. But something that did irritate me was the fact that as Liv was fighting Dakota, she decided that she wanted to try the Three Amigos. And I'm sitting here like, this gentrified Three Amigos really needs to sit down. Between her and Logan Paul, y'all just don't need to do it no more. It's not for y'all. Stop it. Just stop it. Y'all think that just because y'all are in vicinity of these people, y'all can just do it. And I understand they do it to make us mad. But at the same time, I just be like, girl, just stop. Just stop. And she didn't even do it. And she did it, but she didn't do it all the way because, of course, Dakota stopped her. But I was just like, okay, girl. Okay, we get it. And yeah, she won the match and everything. But then, of course, it ended in chaos like it tends to do. So yeah, this was a very interesting matchup for me, but I still thought it was weird, but I was like, okay, here we are. They're fighting. That's cool. Let's go. And Dakota did a heck of a job, and I can't wait to see how much further she goes in the women's IC title tournament now that we have now crowned the US champion. So it's going to be interesting. Now we get to the first round match that took place on Monday Night Raw between Lyra Valkyria, Ivy Nile, and my girl Zelina Vega. This triple threat match was really good, and I was definitely pushing, if you watched my last episode, I was pushing for Zelina Vega to actually be given the opportunity to move forward in the tournament. She did a great job um, with her talent and with everything that she had going on. But in the end, Lyra Valkyria won by hitting her Nightwing onto Ivy Nile. And Zelina was not pinned. So we do still have that notion of the fact that she still looks strong in the sense that she wasn't pinned. But I was still very disappointed in the fact that she wasn't going forward. And it was so sad because she got on Twitter and apologized to the fans. She said sorry. And I'm just like, girl, don't apologize. You did the very best you could do. And I don't need you feeling sorry for yourself because, Miss Ma'am, you fought tooth and nail against Ivy Nile, who was like a stellar athlete, and against Lyra Valkyria, who's a former NXT Women's Champion. Like, do not feel sorry about anything. I could say so many other things, but I would just rather say that Zelina Vega is someone who is worthy of having more opportunities, and I just don't want to see her lose over and over again because we know that she is capable of having great matches with anyone, even with people who are bigger than her, like, you know, Rhea Ripley, like she did in Backlash 2 years ago. It's like we know she's capable, but they just won't give her the ball. And it's just like, when are y'all gonna let this girl break out of being a manager, break out of being, you know, just an LWO member? She shows you time and time again that she has the charisma, she has the athleticism, she has the crossover appeal into different fandoms. What more does she have to do to prove herself? And it's just, and it makes my heart hurt. But we're not going to give up hope. We're going to keep hope alive for my girl because she deserves it. Zelina is everything. And y'all just need to stop playing with her. So, yeah. This made me a little sad, but Zelina is still my girl regardless, and I just can't wait to see how she'll move forward. So, yeah, that's all I had to say about that. And then with the women, you also had Rhea Ripley and Raquel fighting in an anything goes match in the main event of Raw, which was the first of three main event shows, three main events on all of the TV shows this week. It was insane. But this match was really crazy. They were throwing trash cans at each other, you know, murdering each other on the commentary desk. And finally, of course, Rhea Ripley put Raquel through the table in order to win the match. Hence why Raquel didn't really like buck up at her on Saturday. So this match was fantastic. I enjoyed the craziness of it. And here again, women in the main event is always a good thing. And of course, having that parallel to Trish and Lita just celebrating their anniversary last week of when they main evented Raw for the first time was just really great. So I enjoyed this match very much. It was the battle of the big mamas, and Rhea wound up on top because mommy's always on top, and it was great. So Rhea is our dominant queen of life, and I just can't wait to see her get her title back. Like, I'm ready for it all. So yeah. Now, when it comes to the men on Raw, CM Punk had a sit down interview with Jackie Redmond, which started off with her, you know, wanting to ask a very important question. And he started off by saying, "Look, if it's about the Chicago Blackhawks, I'm going to fight you." And she said, "No, it's about something a little bit more important." And he started laughing because they're hockey buddies. So she asked him, you know, what is the deal that he's worked out with Paul Heyman? And of course, he's keeping that on the hush hush. But one thing that he didn't keep on the hush hush was his feelings about Seth Rollins. And when asked about Seth Rollins, he proceeded to talk about how a long time ago, a 16-year-old Seth Rollins asked him to train him for free. And that's how passionate Seth has been about this wrestling business. The fact that at 16, he wanted a wrestler to train him for free. But he also talked about how how when he created the Shield, even though he used coded language, he said that he shielded Seth Rollins from getting fired when he came up with the concept of the Shield, because Seth was on a list of top 10 people to be fired from WWE. And this disappointed me because I'm sitting here like, how y'all gonna fire the first ever NXT champion? What? Y'all were really about to let go of Seth freaking Rollins? He was talented as heck. Like, how could y'all do that? And he is still talented. Like, how could y'all prepare to fire him? And CM Punk was here in this interview taking credit for the fact that, look, I saved him and shielded him from being fired. And, you know, if it wasn't for me leaving, then he probably would not have had to have stepped up the way that he did with the authority and all of the above. And he called Seth Rollins second string and called himself a main player. And I was like, yo, that is nuts. That was really, really disrespectful. But hey, this is a major feud and all the gloves are off. So this is where we're at. But it was insane to hear CM Punk call Seth freaking Rollins a second string player. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. The disrespect. And so Seth comes out and responds with his Cookie Monster fit on and his Nickelodeon glasses. He comes out and he responds and he says, yeah, it is true. I did ask CM Punk to train me at 16 for free. That is true. But something that CM Punk did not bring up was the fact that when everything stopped going his way in WWE and when he decided to leave and I was trying to get in contact with him and talk with him, he had cut everybody off and just said nothing. And of course, this left a sour taste in Seth Rollins' mouth, and he didn't like that. And that sort of feeds into why, you know, they have this sort of beef going on. It's the fact that him and Seth seemed to be on good terms until CM Punk left in 2014 and cut everybody off. And that just, I understand that level of pain because, yo, like, I had nothing to do with it personally, but, you know, don't just cut me off. Like, I'm still your friend. Don't do that. But yeah, it seems like Seth really does have these really angry feelings that he's harboring towards Punk, and Punk has angry feelings that he's harboring towards Seth. And in the midst of this, of course, Sami Zayn comes out and him and Seth have a heart to heart and they apologize to each other. But it still made me feel like somewhere down the line, they might fight each other again. It felt like not like it felt like a genuine apology, but it didn't feel as genuine as it could have been. So I feel like they're not entirely finished with each other just yet. But that whole CM Punk Seth segment was fire. I enjoyed it very much. So, woo! I feel like everything that we didn't get this year between these two, we're definitely going to get next year, and I'm here for it. And then we have these two. These two who had the audacity to show up. I'm sorry, I got real loud. They had the audacity to show up on Raw, backstage, trying to dap up everybody, and everybody was looking at them like, bro, like, we are not friends anymore after what y'all did to Biggie. They turned their backs on him. Natty turned her back on them. And the Alpha Academy didn't want to talk to them no more. Nobody wanted to talk to them no more. And then they said, look, we're going to tell our side of the story. And then they stole a camera from backstage because they didn't want to be interviewed by Kathy Kelly on the notion that she wasn't unbiased. And they wanted to tell their own story, only to come out to the Wichita, Kansas crowd, and they booed the crap out of them. And I mean booed the crap out of them. It felt like 2 years ago when Dominic turned on his daddy, except turned up to 11. You couldn't hear a word that Kofi and Xavier were trying to say. And that, my friends, is how you know you have effed up royally. Kofi, Xavier, Y'all thought everybody was going to be on y'all side after you broke the heart of the powerhouse of positivity? No. Don't nobody like y'all right now. And then what's so funny is WWE was hilarious because they released this footage of them doing charity work for the Boys and Girls Club of America or whatever charity that was. And I'm sitting here like, y'all are hilarious for sharing that. After considering after what they did, the collective of adults are angry with them of what, like, sweetie, no, this is not what we're doing. We're not going to sit out here and pretend that what you did was a good thing. And then what made it 10 times worse for me, what really made me angrier, was the fact that Kofi was going to go in his narcissistic bag and talk about, oh, so after 10 years of all these good times, y'all going to turn y'all backs on us because of this one bad night? And I'm like, yes, because that bad night was horrible. And you broke the heart of your friend who was down for y'all when nobody else was down for y'all. Yes, we are turning our backs to you. Yes, we are booing you. And yes, we don't want to hear a word you got to say. Eat it. Be grown. Be responsible. Take accountability and eat it. Eat it. Eat it. Eat it. Eat it. Eat it. Eat it up. You did that. You made your plate. Now eat it. And I don't feel sorry for him one bit. Okay. Whatever. Moving on. Because if I talk about it anymore, I'm going to get even more angry. So let me move. Finn Balor shaded the crap out of Dominic Monday. And he was talking about how Dominic didn't deserve an opportunity at the World Heavyweight Championship, but he did. And it's just so funny. I really feel like if Finn had won the title last night, his ego would have been more out of control than it already is. And he probably would have been shading the Judgment Day more and more, and probably would have felt like he was supposed to be the leader more and more, even though their whole reasoning for kicking out Damian and Rhea was the fact that they didn't want any leaders. But then you got Finn out here acting like he's Billy Badass and acting like he's the leader. And it's just like, sweetie, why are you shading Dominic just because he didn't win, or because he didn't, or you felt like he didn't deserve the opportunity, but you did? This is all a part of Finn crashing out because he's never won a world title since he had to give up the Universal title years ago due to injury. This is just him crashing out all because of that. And now it's fully manifesting itself in this way. I feel like it ain't gonna be long until Dominic and all the other Judgment Day just gonna kick him out. I feel like once him and JD lose the tag titles, that's really when the writing is gonna be on the wall. And they're gonna take him out. They're gonna take him out and they're gonna be like, look, you're not a part of this group anymore, you're gone. And yeah, that's gonna be the end of it for Finn. But Finn is really just out here just being unfocused and crashing out. And it's just annoying. But I'm just really gonna need for the New Day, if they're out here talking all this trash and acting like what they've done is the greatest thing ever, take the tag titles off of them. Even though I know Finn and JD has to fight the War Raiders, I really feel like it should be the New Day that has to take the titles off of them, because honestly, if you've gone this bad, you might as well go ahead and back it up by taking the titles. But we'll see how that works out. But either way, Finn is a crash out and he needs Jesus. Now, moving into the NXT side of things, the women opened up the show with Julia, of course, celebrating the fact that she's the Iron Survivor for this year. So congratulations to her for that. And she gets interrupted by Roxanne and Jade. And they decide to gang up on her because, of course, afterward, beforehand, they attacked Stephanie Vaquer. So it looked like Julia was out here by herself and didn't have a friend. But Kalani pops up surprisingly to defend Julia and make the odds even, because of course she's always the voice of reason when it comes to stuff like this. And I really enjoyed this, even though when I was looking back, I realized that Julia defeated Kalani in order to get in the Iron Survivor match. So I'm wondering if somewhere down the line this might mean that Kalani might turn heel or might be, having ulterior motive or whatever, but I would love it if she just remained a babyface because I just love cheering for Kalani. She's so talented and so cool, and I just love seeing her be a babyface where it seems like there's so many evil people just taking over every other brand. Like keep a babyface for me, please, and please keep Kalani as one. I just loved seeing Kalani, come to Julia's defense. This was cool, and it led to them having a tag team match against Cora and Roxanne, and it was really cool. Then on top of that, in the women's division, you had the return of Shotzi. This made me so glad because I was low-key getting scared, scared that Shotzi might not be ever coming back, because she did have a really bad injury that she did have to recover from, and in the midst of that, she was doing haunted house stuff with Scarlett, and that was really cool too. But I was just like, man, when are we gonna see Shotzi in the ring again? She popped up on NXT to even up the odds against Fatal Influence and helping Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley, and this made me so happy because I was just like, yes, Shotzi, yes. Shotzi was one of my favorites, and the idea that she had been gone for so long, I was like, man, if she comes back, I wonder if she's going to come back on the main roster or maybe in NXT. And I'm so happy she came back in NXT because she just fits the vibe of it. I'm just really happy that she's back with Gigi and Tatum. She just fits their whole vibe, and I'm just pumped about it. So now it looks like there's another 3-woman group being formed here to go up against Fatal Influence, and I'm just really happy about it. So yay, Shotzi's back. Love it, love it, love it. And they're cute together too, and Tatum has a doll. Tatum has a Shotzi doll, so now we're gonna play, and it's gonna be fun. And then another part that I enjoyed was the fact that Stephanie Vaquer did not let them attack, did not let Cora and Roxanne attack her without getting her lick back. And she came from behind after Roxanne and Cora won their match and attacked them, and then not only attacked them, but then took Cora's stick that she loves to bring out and beat people with and broke it with her knees. And I was so happy about that because y'all not finna jump my dark angel name twin, and get away with it. And she broke the stick, and I'm so happy that she did that because Cora just be out here acting like she's just the baddest thing walking and stuff. But it's like you and Roxanne are like the Terror Twins. It's like y'all be trying to help each other in y'all matches. Y'all be trying to cheat for each other and use weapons that are illegal. So boom, I'm glad Stephanie broke it. I'm really glad because watching Cora out here with it was just like, okay, girl, okay. And now Stephanie cracked it, and I'm so happy. I hope this means that Cora and Stephanie are going to have a match against each other. And if so, then I'm here for Stephanie getting her revenge and getting her lick back. So, yeah, Stephanie. Now, Obafemi is the men's Iron Survivor. We thought he was the one that knocked out Eddie Thorpe, but of course that would begin to reveal itself on Tuesday. But something that I enjoyed so much was watching the interaction between Oba and Trick Williams, the NXT champion, because what they give in terms of strength and in terms of aura is just unmatched. These are two dominant, beautiful black men standing in this ring, staring each other down, giving an aura off. And I just cannot wait to see what this match is going to give because, oh my God, their whole interaction was amazing. Their promo was fire. Oba was low-key killing Trick because he was telling Trick, like, look, the only reason you are the top guy here in NXT is because I let you be the top guy. And I was just like, what? That was so nuts. It was just really nuts for me. And then Trick wasn't backing down either. So, of course, now these two have to fight at New Year's Evil. But there's a part of me that would have loved it if they had saved this match for Stand and Deliver. Because these are just two powerful entities. And I just feel like this is such a big money match that could just wait for WrestleMania weekend. But of course, since that's going to be the weekend of Raw going to Netflix, and it's going to be huge anyway, after the new year. I mean, of course they're doing it for that. But they just have the aura of just star quality that would have made me want to love to see this on a grander stage. But I'm happy that we're getting it regardless, because look at these two men. Look at them. They just exude strength and badassery. And I'm just so happy. I'm so happy that this match is happening. Like, they're just two of the biggest stars that NXT has to offer in terms of their men's division. And they're going to get ready to fight each other. And I'm so excited. It's going to feed us. It's going to feed us so well. I'm so happy. I am so happy that this is happening. There's a part of me that wants Trick to retain, but if he doesn't, I won't be mad either, because Oba is just kind of like the Thanos of NXT. He's just inevitable. So I just don't know. I'm so excited. I'm just excited about the match as a whole. And it was so funny they were having their interaction, but straight up ignoring Eddie Thorpe. And it was just so funny how that was going on. But the aura from these men and the beauty of them both, it just further solidifies why I just love black men as a whole. I love everybody, but black men, Lord Jesus, I love them, and I love mine too. So yeah, it was great. And then, of course, you have the falling ego of Ethan Page. Because Ethan Page is not the Iron Survivor, and because he's not the NXT champion, he's not feeling his best self nowadays. He's feeling kind of not confident. He's lost his confidence, he's lost his ego, and now he just doesn't know what to do. So in the midst of this, he gets offered a North American title match by Tony D'Angelo. And he tried to act like it was beneath him because he was an NXT champion once. But then when Tony was offering it to somebody else, he was like, wait, no, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm sitting here like, Ethan, do not play the A championship like that, okay? Carmelo Hayes did not fight for years on end and hold that title twice for you to just try to like put down that title as beneath you. Like, stop it. That's not what we're doing here. The North American title is very much prestigious, okay? Because if it wasn't, then why would Obafemi even have held it for as long as he did and treasured it the way that he did? Like, don't do that. Like, that was just real rude. And he wound up losing that. So now Ethan Page he's just kind of lost right now. He's lost in the sauce. And I guess now he just needs to figure out what's going to happen next with him. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's not NX Me anymore. Let's play a song on the world's smallest violin. Let me stop. Okay. But yeah, he's lost. And then we do have something else that's intriguing me with Hank and Tank. I want to say congratulations to Hank and Tank, by the way, because they did win the Reality of Wrestling Tag Team Championship this weekend. So big ups to them for that. But they had a match against Tyson and Tyreek. And it was Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe. That's their names. But I have a nickname for them. I call them Ty Squared. Um, and they are a really dominant tag team that me and my father have grown a liking to. My dad loves them because he says that Ty Squared reminds him of Doom and how big they are and everything. Like he loves them. And and he just doesn't like it when they lose. But it almost seems as if Ty and Ty are going through a really hard time right now, considering they lost their match against Hank and Tank, and Tyson wanted to show sportsmanship, but Tyreek was like, I don't want to do this right now. He was like, I don't want to shake your hand. Like, no, I'm sick of this. So it's looking like maybe one of them either might have a change in attitude, or they both might. I don't know. Or maybe they'll break up. I don't want them to break up because we're still scratching the surface on them as a tag team. So I want Ty Squared to stay together. But if they have a change in attitude, then that would be okay with me. But here again, we have too many people turning heel. Like, let me keep some baby faces. But in the midst of all of that, um, if they turn, then I wouldn't have an issue with it. But yeah, they're still really new, so we're still getting to know them. But I just know every time I see them, I think they're cool. So we just gotta wait and see. But big ups to them and the good tag team match they had because it was really fire. So yeah. And Eddie Thorpe, that man, decided to be real sneaky. And because he now has a championship match against Trick Williams, I believe this week, coming up this week, he signed his contract with Ava. And he acted like he was all grateful for it and everything. But then Ava told him, well, we're still looking into who attacked you last week. And he said, I know who attacked me. And Ava was like, what do you mean? He was like, I attacked me. So I got this championship match and didn't have to fight through hell in 25 minutes to do it. See you in Massachusetts. And I was like, oh, so Eddie Thorpe really okey doked us. He really okey doked us. He's a heel now. And he played in Ava's face. I feel like he is going to get some type of really horrible consequence from this because you just do not play in the NXT general manager's face like that. All just to get a championship match? That's crazy. You staged your own attack for a match. That is crazy. It's smart, but it's crazy. But Jesus Christ, Eddie. And then you did it while wearing the Thorpe jacket too. Like, sweetie, come on. That was nuts. But we'll see how it turns out on Tuesday. But that was a really slick turn. Now, moving into the AEW side of things, winter is coming, just passed by. And the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about was the fact that Miss Ma'am Toni Storm, number one on the women's 250 for PWI, made her grand return to Dynamite, but not as the timeless one, but as herself, with the shorts and the glasses and the hat and everything. She came back. Regular Toni is here. And of course, this shocked the crap out of Mariah May because she was defending her title against Mina Shirakawa in the main event. Here again, another show that had women in the main event, the third one this week. And boom, here is Toni out here as her regular self. And I have a soft spot in my heart for this version of Toni because this is the first version of Toni that I ever saw in the Mae Young Classic. Here again, if you listen to the show long enough, you know that when it comes to a lot of the current stars in women's wrestling, the Mae Young Classic was sort of like my gateway drug. That and NWA's Empower were two of my gateway drugs inside of a lot of the future of women's wrestling at this stage. And it's just nuts. I think one day I should do an episode dedicated to it. But either way, Toni was always one of my favorites. And the idea that she was able to come back here with this character change and get the reaction that she got, everybody popped really hard. Thunder Rosa was holding up a sign that said WTF. She didn't know what was going on. But it low-key looks like from how even Saturday went, not Saturday, I think Friday and Saturday with Rampage and Collision. She's going through a bit of a identity crisis situation where she thinks she just made it to AEW and that she's so happy to be alongside everybody else who she was wrestling beside anyway when she was the timeless one. So it's really interesting, how they're playing this character out. But I was so happy to see this version of Toni Storm back in action. This was really amazing for me because I just have a soft spot in my heart for this version of Toni, even though I love the timeless one. It was cool. But yeah, it's time to shake things up again. And she's back as her regular self. So this was really fun for me to see. I enjoyed this very much. And it was a great way to end Dynamite. So that was cool. Now to talk about something that I probably would have talked about in news and gossipish if Saturday night's main event had not have happened. I have to be real about this and talk about this. And this is probably the last time I'm going to discuss it. TNA's final resolution passed. It happened Friday, and Jordan Grace had a match, and I do believe in the midst of her match, she got attacked by a person who revealed themselves to be Tessa Blanchard. And for those who are new or probably don't know who Tessa Blanchard is, she is also someone else who I was exposed to via the Mae Young Classic. And she was someone who I really thought could have been the future of women's wrestling alongside Charlotte Flair, like, because she is the daughter of Tully Blanchard, a wrestling legend, and who was also a four horseman as well. Like, she was someone who I initially thought the world of, and someone who I thought really could stand on all the amazingness of women's wrestling and where it was set to go over these past few years and all of the above. And she also made some moves even in TNA during her first run where she actually became the TNA/Impact World Champion. Not the women's champion, not the Knockouts champion, but the world champion, like the championship held by the men. She held it and actually fought men too. And I thought that was cool as well. But Miss Ma'am disappointed me when I found out that she had a racist encounter with a wrestler. I believe La Rosa Negra. And that in the match, she had fought her, called her the N-word, and spit in her face. And then not only did she do that, she had bullying behavior towards other women's wrestlers as well. Finding out that she used the worst possible slur to a black wrestler who has since, forgiven her and all of the above, and, big ups to her for that. I mean, if they've ironed out their differences, that's fine, but that doesn't mean that has to be me. Me and my journey, if you call me or any other person or black person I know the N-word, that makes me want to fight you. And it also makes me want to just cut you out of my life completely, because that type of negativity has no place in my life. It has no place in my wrestling life. It has no place in any form in my life at all. Because at the end of the day, I'm a black woman from the South, and we don't play that. We don't play that. And Tessa fell off a little bit from it. She didn't wrestle for a while, but then got back into wrestling because a few other companies or whatever, hired her back to do some things. But I never thought we would ever see her back on television. Boy, was I wrong. She's back here in TNA, and it's been rumored that that some people in the locker room don't like this idea, including Jordan Grace. Which I can only imagine how she feels, considering she's married to Jonathan Gresham, who happens to be a black man. I can only imagine how she even feels doing that. So at this point, TNA, I mean, I'm going to always support the women there, but I'm not supporting Tessa Blanchard. Because once you use that word and once you be that disrespectful towards somebody, no. I don't like it at all. I just don't. Goodbye. Like, it's literally not the best choice. Like, TNA had been doing so well this year, but then you hire her back to have this type of exposure, and it makes it seem as if there's just no consequences for your actions. It just seems like, oh, well, let's just play a low profile, and then maybe down the line, if enough people have forgotten about it, then you can come back. No. No, ma'am. You are not a born legend. You are a born racist, and I don't trust you, and I don't respect you. So that's one thing in wrestling that I did not like this week. So, moving on. Now, I was able to catch a couple of clips from SmackDown because Friday I went out, finding out that Bianca was almost stripped of the tag titles because of Jade's condition. Was really sad, but then at the same time, Naomi decided to jump in and say, look, I'll defend them in Jade's absence and we can be champions together. And now they have to fight Nia Jax and Candice LeRae next week. And a lot of people on social media were saying, look, this is Naomi sort of playing Bianca Belair as a fiddle and saying that she could very well be turning heel and she might be revealing herself to be the one to have attacked Jade. And I hope here again, like I mentioned last week, that that's not the case. But if it is, then that's really a smart way in order to get it done. But oh my God. Bianca and Jade accomplished so much in both of their runs as tag team champions that to see it end in this way would low-key make me sad. I'd be like, oh my God, no. What happened to my big three? And what makes me sad is if this is how the big three is going to end, they didn't give the big three a t-shirt. They only gave Bianca and Jade one. They didn't give all three of them a t-shirt. Like, that seriously sucks. So now we're about to possibly live in a world where Miss Feel the Glow is really about to like turn on our EST. Like, no, it's so sad. But we just gotta wait and see. But I just really hope that it's not Naomi that's turned heel on her. That's about to turn heel and that she's the one that attacked Jade. Like, why? Why? But we just gotta wait. Also, another thing that I saw on social media was this interaction between Tiffany Stratton, Candice LeRae, and Nia Jax, the women's champion. Because Tiffy did not win in her beautiful holiday outfit and was not going forward to the finals of the women's United States title tournament, Candice LeRae decided to chime in with her purple-headed self and talk about how Tiffany might not be cut out for singles championships. And I'm just sitting here like, girl, you're saying all that, but the only titles you've ever won have been tag teams up until this point. You were never NXT champion like Tiffany. You've never won Money in the Bank. Like, the only singles title you have ever won at this point was the WWE Women's Speed Championship. And yes, that is a great accomplishment, for women's history in wrestling, because that's great because you're the first ever. But at the same time, that's a title that you can't even carry on television, but you want to shade Miss Money in the Bank, who actually accomplished what you couldn't accomplish in NXT, and make it seem like she's not cut out for singles gold. Girl, bye. I'm really gonna need for Tiffany to put on her big girl britches and cash in on Nia, because it really looks like Nia is beginning to look down on Tiffy too. And it's just like, it's so gross because every time Tiffany had your back, she had your back. Even though, of course, she was weirded out by having the briefcase or whatnot, she still had your back. And now Candice comes in and yeah, she's giving you this opportunity to possibly be a tag champion alongside, and defeating Bianca and Naomi or whatever. But still, how you just gonna turn your back on Tiffy like that? And with that being the case, I'm really just gonna need for Tiffany to just cash in on Nia. Like, all bets are off. All bets are off. Cash in on Nia, because Candice really has a little bit. She just has too much dip on her chip at this point. Too much. Way too much dip on her chip. For somebody who has only seemed to have title success in tag teams, trying to tell Tiffany Stratton that she is not cut out for singles title material, girl, bye. That was horrible. That was just horrible to look at. I was just like, girl, don't let them do you like that. It was horrible. Now, I lied earlier because I said that the Tessa thing was the only thing I didn't like in wrestling this week. I got to hear it, now I realize this is another thing I did not like. Carmelo Hayes him, my fave, was once upon a time an NXT champion. I know I was there when it happened. I was screaming my voice out. It was a mess, but either way, he won the NXT title off of Braun Breaker during WrestleMania weekend in Hollywood. This man carried NXT on his back along with Trick Williams, and even though they fell out and everything, you can't deny that they held NXT down together, right? This man was also an NXT North American champion and the final NXT Cruiserweight champion before they combined those titles together. Here again, he made the NXT North American title the A championship before he became NXT champion. This man is a thoroughbred through and through. I've done an episode dedicated to one of his matches that happened on my birthday against Ricochet. Like, he is the man 100 grand. He doesn't just call himself him because it sounds good. He calls himself him because he is him. So why is it in the year of our Lord 2024, and before we even get to that, he was one half of the first black male main event during WrestleMania weekend with Trick Williams at Stand and Deliver this year. Here again, something else I was blessed to be there for. Witness that match. It was fantastic. So, in doing all of that, and also having great matches this year with Andrade, with their best of 7 series, you could say, to a degree, that was what was going on. In the midst of all of that, how is he getting squashed to Braun Strowman? How and why? And that's not to say that Carmelo did not put up a good fight, because he did. But it's like when Braun Strowman came out there, I just felt like I knew what the writing was. And it made me so upset, because I don't understand how somebody who was neck and neck and parallel to Braun Breaker's career and was drafted, the first male draft pick of SmackDown, gets treated like he's a nothing all of a sudden. I don't like that at all. Carmelo Hayes performed exceptionally well in the Money in the Bank match. Here again, I was there. But either way, like, he performed exceptionally well. Why is it that he's just being pushed off to the side? I understand that he has sort of like the cocky rookie role going on, but at what point are we going to stop pretending that he's just a cocky rookie and start realizing that this man is him, not just because he says he is, but because he actually is? I'm tired. I don't just want him just being put in matches just to be made to look weak and just lose all the time. Like, do something. Please do something. Like, he deserves better. Carmelo deserves better. And at the risk of sounding like a weirdo or sounding like somebody who's whining and crying or whatever, Carmelo definitely deserves better. He just does. And I don't know, maybe you could probably go back and think that I just am saying this just because.
How are you, Carmelo?
I'm good. I'm standing there with her, Queen Steph Hardy. Let's talk about it.
Yes, let's talk about it.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he'll always have a soft spot in my heart because of that moment this year. But even before that, Carmelo showed himself to me, and I thought he was amazing. So give Carmelo his things, please. Please, please, please. And just, I don't know if in this transfer portal they're going to put him on Raw and maybe he'll have better luck there. Please, just don't embarrass him. I sound like Sabrina Carpenter. Like, I hope you don't embarrass him. Mm-hmm. But whatever. I just want better for Carmelo Hayes, because he is him. And he gonna always be him regardless, okay? And that's it, and that's all. So, of course, this has been an amazing show. I'm glad that you guys tune in for that. Oh, I got one more thing I got to discuss. I'm really excited about Roman Reigns fighting Solo in tribal combat to become the official tribal chief on the Raw on Netflix episode. I'm really excited about that. His promo for that was really fire and it was very heartfelt, you can tell. So I'm really excited about it. I'm really pumped. And then you have Paul Heyman back there, and it was just really interesting how he was talking about how he lost his wise man, he lost his whole bloodline, and he lost his Ulafala that was given to him and stuff. And here again, it pulls on your heartstrings because the Wild Samoans gave him that. And with everything that happened this year, it makes it mean a whole lot more. So January is set to be a big month in wrestling. And I just can't wait to see what happens from that match. So yeah, that's all that I liked and or did not like in wrestling this week. And now I just want to thank all of you guys for watching this live. And of course, if you're going to watch this later, please watch it later on YouTube or listen later once it's uploaded to all of the audio platforms. But of course, if you want to check out more content from me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, you can watch my show that I co-host alongside Katrina from In Cat We Trust called Steph and Cat Talk WoW, where we give the ups and the downs and the drama and the action of WoW superheroes as women of wrestling superheroes. We're doing a double episode this week. So please be on the lookout for that and watch that on both of our YouTube channels on The Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. And check out all of our interviews that we did this year with a number of the WoW superheroes as well as former WoW superheroes as well. Check out those and just continue to support us as we uplift that brand and uplift women's wrestling as a whole. Yeah, just check it out and watch that there. And also, if you are looking for a guest on your podcast, if you're looking for a writer for a certain project, or if you're looking for a color commentator or panelist for a con, know that you can email me at hardywrestlingpodcast@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram or on X/Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy or at Hardy Wrestle Pod or Hardy Wrestling Podcast on Instagram. And we can work out rates, we can work out dates, we can work out all the things. And of course, those are a number of the places where I've been seen and worked with before. So if you want a fresh, feminine take on the world of professional wrestling, book your girl, book your girl, book your girl. I'm open for 2025. Even though there is stuff that I do want to do. So please be on the lookout for all of that. But either way, if you want me to be a guest on your stuff, book me and I'll be happy to do so. And of course, read all of my articles on Daily DDT underneath Stephanie Hardy, and read my latest one where I give my top 5 CM Punk moments of 2024. This man, even though he did not wrestle as much, still gave a lot of great moments this year. So I was happy to write about that for Daily DDT. And as always, thank you to Rafael Garcia for letting me get my crazy ideas out there. And I might be writing another article before the month is over. So please be on the lookout for that. But either way, read my top 5 CM Punk moments of 2024. I had such a fun time putting it together. So read that and all of my other articles as well on dailyddt.com. And of course, well, I love Mercedes Moné, but that wasn't what I was going to say. Buy my merchandise at foryourwear.com. That's FORURWEAR.com/Hardy Wrestling Podcast and purchase my t-shirts and hoodies there. You can buy the Alabama Wrestling hoodie in the colors of red and black. Available in all sizes, and buy my Beyonce's t-shirt as well as my Bold and the Bloodline t-shirt. And I think I really do need to work more on getting more new t-shirt designs for y'all so that I can, sell it and put it out there. But if you want to support your girl in that way, please do so, and I would really appreciate it. So, of course, this has been the Hardy Wrestling Podcast with your girl, Stephanie Hardy. I hope you're having an amazing weekend and a really great holiday start to the holiday season because Christmas is next week and I'm so excited about it. And I hope you get great gifts and I hope you're having an amazing time with wrestling and just a good time in general because I know the holiday season can bring about so many different feelings of being without loved ones or sometimes just hard feelings where you feel like your life isn't where you thought it was going to be towards the end of the year or whatever. But just take it easy on yourself. Have grace on yourself. Do the very best that you possibly can. And know that you are surrounded by love. And of course, if you are looking for a friend, don't hesitate to reach out, because you never know what type of relationships might lie under a hello or whatever. And just don't give up. Just don't give up. And yeah, this has been the Hardy Wrestling Podcast with your girl, Stephanie Hardy. And until next time, bye, y'all.